Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. I will be joined by my co-host Miss B here shortly. But welcome to the show. Today is Wednesday, September 10th. Right, the month is already going fast. Tonight, our topic is the one big beautiful bill. The tax cut that was passed by Congress and signed by President Trump on July 4th. So tonight, as our topic, the one big beautiful bill will be talking about the tax cut, the tip freeze on taxes, and what it means for your wallet. So today that's our business topic. That's our segment. That's what we're going to be discussing tonight. But before we get into that, man, first of all, you can actually join the conversation tonight by, as always, putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. And if you're going to watch this segment later, you can always participate in the discussion and on our Facebook page. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, um, X or Twitter, also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. There is a growing movement. We come here 4 days, 5 days a week to try to bring you great content, great conversations, stuff like that. So we hope you can, join this movement. But before we get into things, man, today's another sad day in these United States, in this great America. It's another sad day, gun violence, another shooting in Utah, in Colorado. Unfortunately, the conservative commentator, popular 31-year-old, Charlie Kirk, was shot and killed in Utah today this afternoon. I mean, it's sad, sad, sad. I've said it many times on this show that gun violence, man, too many guns in this country. We said it last week. Um, you know, uh, when the Annunciation shooting happened here in Minneapolis, we talk about just it's just too much guns in this country, man. It's like so, and no one is safe. There's no one safe in this country, right? Just too many guns. Country of 350, 375 million, whatever. You have over 400 million guns. There's just too many guns in this country. So there's so much gun violence. No one is safe. You won't believe someone at a college campus, engaging students having a conversation, and then out of a sudden, one lunatic come from nowhere and just shot and kill him. A 31-year-old life lost too soon, too soon. So many of these things are happening, and to me, as I said, right, despite my political leaning, I don't think there's just too many guns in this country. I'm just against idea, the whole idea of citizens owning guns. So, Miss B, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B. It's
Yeah,
Wednesday, so we're minding the business that pays us. Come on.
obviously, yeah. So I was just saying, if we could come on air, right, is another tragic incident, tragic shooting in Utah, and then another one in Colorado, at a school. So it's just like, our prayers are with Charlie and his family and the family in Colorado also. It's too many guns in this country. I know we talk about it here. The other time when the annunciation stuff happens, if despite my political leaning, where I'm just against the gun ownership. I don't see why folks should own gun with the kind of law enforcement we have in this country. So, but what's
That
your thought
part.
on it, man? Yeah, what's your thought?
I mean, you got to think, and for me, I'm always the root and the history behind stuff, right?
Hmm.
It's the economics of it. It's the
Yeah,
economics. I think anything that's for sale in this country is for sale because they have found a way to package it and they found a market for it.
mm,
Unfortunately, we don't think about the long term societal impacts things have in our economy. So it's
yeah.
unfortunate. I don't know how you undo 4 million. What is it? You said the number was there's more guns
Four,
in the market than
410, 410 million guns currently.
410 million. How do you undo 410 million guns? It's a big business for our government.
And
Unfortunately,
that's just the legal ones. They're not even counting the illegal ones on the streets. It's just
the
like
ones
that.
that the cartels and God knows
Uh,
who other people have.
yeah, so we are
That's
living.
registered owner guns.
Yes, register 410 million register owner guns in a country of 350 or 375 million people. So many people own guns. And the thing about it, like, I don't understand. Every time these things happen, they say, oh, mental health. Well, I would say this again. We all have mental health in this America. If you live in America, mental health is a common thing. You have a mental health because you
It's
have a
a
mental.
daily struggle.
Yeah, because it's
It's a
like
daily
your
struggle.
job, your kids, your finances. I mean, whatever else doing I mean, so everyone has a mental issue in this country. So the fact that you're going to blame it on mental health or mental situation, to me, it's just not a justification. The fact is, it is too easy to get gun in America. Too easy. I can walk to a Walmart or any criminal record and buy a gun. So what if I come and my intention is to do harm? So it's just too easy. But our prayers are with the victims. Charlie, obviously, he's young kid, 31 years old. For him to lose his life, so sad. And then with the family of, I mean, the Colorado one, it was just, I mean, there are three people critically injured, including a gunman. So it's like, that's another one. But that's that, man, folks. This is America we live in. It's so sad. No one is safe, right? No one is safe because we live in it's an epidemic. The gun situation is just an epidemic. So
Wow. So it was at a Trump rally
no,
that
no, he was at a how you call it? He was on campus where he has his organizations called Turning Point USA.
okay.
He goes on college campuses and just talk, debate students, talk about like you and I, right? From different
Hmm.
side of the aisle, you have different views and stuff like that I do. And then, he just go to engage students and then some lunatic came from nowhere and took his life. So sad, so sad. But that's that. So let's get to as you said, the business that pays. So now we are talking about the one big beautiful bill. Tax cut. Tip-free taxes, overtime, no taxes on overtime. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Miss B said that's not that does. It's too good to be
Show me
true.
the money. That's what I want you to do today.
Miss
Show
B
me
said
the
it's too good to
money,
be true. So
Abraham.
but anyway, first of all, just some background about the bill, right? The bill, Congress passed the bill this summer, and
Hmm.
President Trump signed it into law on July 4th. A
Hmm.
lot of benefits to the bill, dude. A lot of benefits, Miss B. Number one, it extended the 2017 tax cut, right? Where
Okay.
in like the tax bracket, the individual tax bracket, as in depending on your income, it was as
Yes.
high. It
Let's
was
talk about the tax bracket. Break it down for
okay.
people.
Okay. Well, the tax bracket, right, the individual tax bracket before the 2017 tax cut, I think it was as high as like 39% or so, depending on your income.
Yep.
I mean, depending on your income. So the way America works, right? Depending on your income, you're in certain tax brackets. So maybe from 50 to 100, It puts you in one tax bracket, and maybe from 25 to maybe 49, you are in another tax bracket, and then from 100 to 150 or so, you are in another tax bracket. So
Yes.
when the law was passed in 2017, it said, man, it's like when you work for your money, at least try to keep some. I mean, try to keep some of it, right? Instead of Uncle Sam, taking everything from you. So those different brackets, right? They were kind of the percentages were reduced instead of maybe from 39% to that, for example, maybe to 30%, depending, as I say, it's all income based. You
Mm-hmm.
So when it was set to expire this year, it was set to expire this year. So when Congress passed this bill and then Trump signed it into law, that has become permanent. So whatever bit, I mean, I'm sure Miss B, you have been seeing it on your, on your paycheck since 2017, since this law was passed. I mean, it's like you have been keeping more of your money instead of everything just going to Uncle Sam. Now
Mm-hmm.
that law is permanent. That aspect of it is permanent. So that's one of the benefit of this big, beautiful bill.
Okay, but this bill is trying to tell me, and I could like it,
Mhm. Okay.
that the top 1% will pay more in federal taxes than they did before.
Okay.
So over 40% of all federal taxes, right? However, even when the tax cuts represent the 1%, the
Hmm.
uber super rich people paying more, there are still all these loopholes that prevent them from having to pay. So it's like the taxes is an irrelevant thing for them. It's something they don't have to deal with. It's something they don't pay because there's other places in which they can go to avoid having to pay taxes completely.
Okay.
The income they report, first of all, let's look at this thing.
Hmm.
Jeff Bezos doesn't get income from anywhere technically. And when we're talking about paying taxes, is the people who have some kind of income coming from an employer.
Hmm. Yep.
Am I
Yep.
right?
Hmm. Yes. Yep. Yep.
So this is the thing we get all excited about as the average person say, oh, now they're gonna have to pay their fair share. What
Hmm.
you're really hoping is not for Jeff Bezos to have to pay taxes because nobody's paying him income. He gets stocks. He gets stocks. And what you're hoping is that the place he gets the stocks from, those are the real people you're hoping to pay their fair share of taxes. The corporations.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
So here's the thing. I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I won't say that. I won't say that. Right? But let me just go through some of the. Let me just break it down. Some of the percentages there, right? Like how much you make, and like for single filers, right? So if you make like maybe like $9,325 according to the chart here, you are entitled to, you have to pay like 10% of taxes, right? If you make 9,000 to 37,000, the bracket you fall in a bracket of 15%. If you make 25, and this was as high as, like before the 2017 federal law, right? Like I just got extended, it was as hard as what? 39%.
Yes.
That's how high it was. So what the 2017 tax law did was it kind of extended the income threshold, right? It widened the income bracket, and then it lowered the percentages that individuals have to pay on taxes. Now you have single fathers, and you also have like married filing jointly, or I mean head of household. There are different for married couples, like for example, right? Like 10%, you guys have to be making like $18,000. But the point is, what the 2017 tax law did though, right? As I said, it lower your tax responsibility, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. It lower your tax responsibility so that you can keep more of your money. I get it, the point that you're trying to make, right? We who are on the clock, we who are working, we are responsible for paying almost like 75, 80, or 90% of taxes in this country, right? Income tax. Right.
76%. Yeah.
Okay, 76% of what? Taxes back to what? Uncle Sam. So
Yep.
whenever politicians or those in Washington D.C. sees the need, that look, man, that's what to me, that's what I love my Republican Party. to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Because the one who we who that are working, they want us to keep more of our money instead of
Mhm.
just, paying it back to Uncle Sam, and then Uncle Sam takes it and do whatever they want to do with it. So that's where I'm coming from, right? I think because those that are working, the average working person has a huge tax burden. We poor people, you know what I mean, or whatever middle income or whatever, right, we pay a significant amount of our income in taxes.
Yes, there. So, but the thing is that middle class where a lot of people sit, that
Mm-hmm.
50,000 to 100,000,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100K is where. So basically, if you're under 50K, you're gonna, only be at 14 point. You'll see 14.9% more take home. If
Mm-hmm.
you're between 50 to 100K, you'll see 11.9. And that's where you have a lot of people sitting. So I still feel like, you know, I still feel like the deduction should be more, or people in that bracket of the middle class, that real middle class, 50 to 100K, they still should be taking home more. That's right. Because there's still more people in that income bracket. In America,
So what?
somebody is
So
making
what?
under
So what?
50K, they're really struggling.
So what do you think? And I mean, okay, I would say, yeah. If you want them to reduce, I mean, the percentages more. I mean, you want those in that bracket, right? Maybe like that income range, 500 to 50. I mean, to 150K, they should keep more of their money. So what would you suggest? So it's like, are you suggesting that it should even be lower?
It should be lower. It should be
Okay,
lower because
but
this is the thing people don't realize, right? I know you want the government. So what happens with taxes is that they want to say before any of this money goes to the person, the citizen, let's take our share.
hmm
They're be saying, let's take our share first because we have more urgent bills or feel like they have bigger bills. Yes, government has bills. They have expenses they have to take care of. That's the purpose of taking taxes from their citizens. But the
hmm
reality is you taking money from the same people you're expecting to do what? Be consumers and fuel the economy on the other end,
yeah,
because the citizens are not the only place government's taking taxes from. They're taking taxes from the consumer side of us as well. So it's like double taxation. So the reality is, if you give people less money to spend to take home, the reality is all of that's going back anyways. They're going to spend more going back. So I think what we want, we just have to have, I think what the citizens are really saying is, I want more of a decision of where it goes when it leaves me versus you taking this off the top. You're already making decisions, and deciding how much I'm going to have to play with when it comes to me at home. That's the problem most citizens are having and struggling with.
but you're talking like a Republican tonight because you want us to lower the tax. I mean, you want us to lower the tax rate so you can keep more of your money, right? And your people are saying, "Oh, no, 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 no! You should pay your fair share. Those that are making 150, 100 to 150K, they should pay more in taxes, or 200,000, they should pay more in taxes." No,
And
when
if
you
the
work for your,
Democrat Party is really saying that, then that's where I will disagree, because the reality is that that need for more should not be happening at the 100. You got to think, if wages are not going up accordingly and you have everything else increasing, then therefore you need to stop wanting more from the people that are getting less. You got to really want more from up top. And wanting more from attack cannot just show up in a tax policy. There are other policies you need to put in place for the 1% to get more from the 1%. And
okay,
that's what they're avoiding. They're avoiding those other policies that they need to put in place for corporations to be forced to pay their taxes. They're avoiding those policies that they need to put in place for that 1% to be paying more when it comes to taxes.
here's the thing though, right? That's some of the benefit of this, the one big beautiful bill, right? Number one, as I said, right, the 2017 tax code, which lower the tax rate, right? That's still consistent now. Like, you are able to keep more of your paycheck, and you pay less in income tax. And then now, instead of atomizing, first before 2017, right? You used to atomize everything, your mortgage, your medical bill. Now you can just take one lump sum. You can just say, hey, if you feel like, your mortgage and whatever and stuff, that you can just take one standard deduction, and boom, you get a credit, right? The other thing too, you have the benefit of the child tax credit, right? That's going to continue at a higher amount. right? So there are a lot of benefits for the so-called middle class or the average person in there for this bill. Obviously, we'll discuss, what's in there for individuals, for businesses, and also there's some of the negative side of it. I'm not saying it's all perfect. But what I
Mm.
love about this bill, to me, I'll be honest with you, right, is the fact that at least I'm able to keep more of my money. Those that have kids, right, they can take advantage of the child tax credit and also that standard deduction. I think that standard deduction, if you have a good CPA person or your tax professional, you can really benefit from that because it's just one lump sum. You take it here, boom, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, right? And you get your credit. So I mean, there are a lot of benefits to this thing. That I mean, for individuals, I mean, we'll get to the business side, but there are a lot of benefits in there for I mean, for individuals. Now, I'm not saying it's all perfect. There's nothing is perfect, right? Because like this thing, when you are doing all of these things, right, you are taking away government revenue, so government will have to find a way to either generate revenue or save, right? It's always, it's always, it's always give and take.
And that's the thing is like, why we entrusted people who don't have the acumen to be financially savvy and strategic, because with all of the money they're taking from us, we're still in debt. And the folks who get to decide and make the decisions about tax cuts here and there really don't have the experience and the knowledge to be making such decisions about our money, right? I
Hmm.
myself don't attest to being the best with when it comes to economics, right? When I say comes to economics, is I'm talking about macro and microeconomics, folks, in a way that a financial analyst like Abe will be able to look at the numbers and do all of that thing. I'm not saying that I'm not good with my money. So just to make that clarification. And so I I say that to say is that yes, government wants more money because government has not been doing good with their spending. Like, where are they spending the money? I am all for if this money is all being spent here in the U.S. Um, and helping us in some shape or form. If you're saying, you know what, Denise, I'm taking your money now, but you'll have less to worry about when it comes to groceries. You'll have less to worry about when it comes to your health care, right? You're taking my money and I still have to pay for the expensive groceries. You're taking my money and I still have to pay for the expensive high cost of health insurance. So where's the trade-off? Where's the trade-off? And yes, when you're talking about seeing more money, Abraham, $1,700 more over annually.
Man, I can do something, Miss B. Don't say I can do something. Tell me. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like that is something. So that's
Seventeen
what I'm saying.
hundred dollars divided by 12 months.
Okay, so I think that I mean maybe you're not on the same page when it comes to that, right? We should be. I'm always. I don't like to pay taxes, folks. Even though it's like what I mean. I'm an employee, and I don't get to decide. When and how Uncle Sam takes my money, right? But I'm on the side of those who don't like to pay taxes. So I mean, I agree with you that it should even be higher, right?
Yeah.
It should be paying. I should be paying. Is like, hey, if I work for my money, let me keep my money. Let me decide how my money should be spent. Not somebody else taking my money and deciding what what to do with it, right? I mean, so I agree with you on that. But I mean, back to the the one big beautiful bill, right? Number one, it says like there's no one of the benefit of it. There's no tax on tips.
On
There's
tips.
no tax on tips.
Okay, let's
Now,
address
right?
that.
IRS having putting guardians right into that
Hmm.
area, but that is, I mean, eventually when it come up the guardians to see, okay, who uh who qualifies, the income threshold. I think they said the limit is up to what, $25,000 actually. So
Mm.
you know what I mean. If you make up to $25,000, right? Up to $25,000 income, you know what I mean. Like if you're paying tax on those tips, right? 25,000 of your tip income up to $25,000 of your tip income is non-taxable, so you're not paying taxes on those. So Miss B, for someone working in a restaurant for a waiter, for a waiter or someone working at a barber shop or someone doing a Lyft or Uber, that's huge though. That's really, really beneficial. That's huge. You can see that's nothing, So so that's
It's
something.
again, they will see $1,300 more by limiting income taxes on any tipped income. Um, for 4 million tip workers, which is not even a large group of people, to be
Hmm.
honest.
Okay.
Um, so who's he's talking about? Your waitress, your barbers, and your hairstylists, and your taxi drivers. Okay, how would a barber and a hairstylist? I mean, the waitress, we can know which one is tips and which one is wages, but how will we know where barbers and a hairstylist which one is tip and which one is wages?
Well, they have to self-report. I think some of it they have to self-report, right? You know, what I mean? Some of it have to be self-reporting. So it depends. If you want to up to 25,000 is up to you, right? Hey, if you want to say, I made 25,000 out of my income, out of my barbershop income, I made 25,000 out of annually just in tips. That your if you have proof, right? That $25,000, there's no tax on it. That's what they're trying to tell you. That $25,000, if you're a barber or a hairstylist, and if you say, hey, your income, maybe let's assume your income is $50,000, and instead 25,000 out of the $50,000 where tips incomes, you will pay zero tax on that.
That is correct. So,
Hmm.
folks, he's giving you some gems here. If you're a barber, you're a hairstylist, and let's just say you make $100,000, you can get up to how much of that can be not taxed, Abraham?
$25,000.
$25,000 of that can be. So if you've been showing little income and you're trying to buy your house, or make a big purchase where you need to show more income, you can show more income, and some of it can be considered as tips, and therefore you won't be taxed on all of that income. So I'm looking out for my barbers there, my hairstylist, because again, that's a field that we heavily sit in. So if the big beautiful bill is going to support those folks being able to show more income, and not even necessarily show more income, but make more income and not have to be taxed as much on it, I agree with the big beautiful bill on that. I
Okay.
still want to know where these people with the 150, 100,000 to 500K, we still paying too much.
Okay. Well, that's okay. And then now the next one, right? No tax on overtime. Okay, no tax on overtime. Even though, right, not out of it. That is to me, if you're working like 100 hours on overtime, they're not going to give you, they're going to give you half of that, right? That's the catch 22 there. Like if you work maybe 10 hours overtime, you only get like 5 hours where you won't pay tax on it. And then the balance or the remaining five, you'll pay tax on it, whatever. So it is not out of your overtime income that you pay zero tax, right? Some of it, I mean, some of your overtime income, you will pay zero tax. The other half, uh, I mean, you have to pay taxes on it. So if you're someone that work lots of overtime, I mean, there's a benefit there, right? Because there are a lot of people in our community that actually work overtime. Those in healthcare working the 16 hours, um the 16-hour days, maybe like working it's 40-hour week, but someone working 60 hours, 70 hours, right? So I mean, you don't have to, because those folks will tell you, right, those who work overtime is actually taxed at a higher rate for some reason. I don't know why, but it is. So that's a benefit. I mean, that's one of the benefit of this thing. A lot of it is geared towards helping the little man. I'm not saying everything is perfect, what I mean, and stuff like that. But there are stuff in there that is really, really beneficial to like folks like us.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm surprised, folks, and this is why I say sometimes I don't believe I'm going to say that tonight. Last night was you, and tonight is me now.
Hmm.
Uh, that's sometimes I'm going to say, pay attention to what you're voting for. However, because this part right here sounds like, you know, we're heading somewhere. This administration, the smart people, the people who are responsible for this bill, the tax part of the bill, I'm trying to be very specific who I want to give this credit to,
Okay.
is onto something, right? In this big, beautiful tax bill. And that's why I said it's good to pay attention and read what you are voting for. But it wouldn't have been enough, to be honest,
Okay.
for me to get the for them to get my full vote. But I'm liking what I'm saying. We have somebody here saying something.
Yeah. So what James Edgar is saying here, right? When it comes to the no overtime on no
Mm-hmm.
tax on overtime, so he's
Mm-hmm.
saying what companies would do, they will hire more people and they will eliminate the whole overtime. I don't believe. I don't believe that. I don't
That's
believe
what
that.
they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Mm. I don't believe. I mean, I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to be the case, though, right? I don't think. I mean, that's going to be the case. Uh I mean,
Because
James.
that's what's happening now. They've like literally eliminated um a lot of places are eliminating overtime. I know where um where people used to count on getting overtime, they can't see it
So are you saying?
anymore.
Are you say? Are you agreeing with James Eto here that um because of this big beautiful bill, there's no more tax on overtime? Companies will be eliminating overtime.
Yes. I know a
Uh,
lot of folks who really benefited and made a lot of money during COVID
mhm,
due to being able to work overtime. They're
mhm.
not seeing that anymore. Staffing agency are shutting down or closing down because a lot of employers have either decided they're going to hire enough people or they're going to do without operate without having the people they need in order to avoid having to pay overtime, especially in the health fields where people used to count on it. And so, and even with nurses, there's this thing where they can't work more than 36 hours a week at one job. So when you
Mhm.
find people saying they're working overtime or getting time and a half, it's probably most likely it's holiday pay, or they're at a different entity. They'll go and work 8 hours here, go pick up another 8 hours there. They can work a
Okay.
16-hour day, but is that two different entities?
Or is that two different jobs? It's not the same
Yes,
job.
it's not the
Okay.
same job.
Okay. So, okay. Well, I mean, if there's overtime there, right? The thing is, if there's overtime, if your company has overtime, you're working overtime. Part of that overtime pay, I mean, you don't have to pay taxes on it. But the other thing about this bill, though, right? And I think this benefits you specifically because you are in the car industry, right? Interest on car loans up to $10,000. You don't have to pay. I mean, is you can claim, right? You can deduct up to $10,000 interest payment on your car loan or car that you buy. This 2025, right? You can deduct up to $10,000 interest payment on your car loan. That is
Nice,
that is hu- that is huge, folks.
nice. That's huge. To avoid paying taxes, go buy a bunch of cars, everyone. Most 1099 folks, they've understood that assignment for a while. They've understood that loophole to make that purchase.
So I think here's the thing, right? And JP passes is disagreeing with you guys here, right? Why would a company not hire more people, for overtime? Because the tax income is not going to them. So you and James at some point here, glad that my man passed you. Is JP is coming up. The company, the stuff is not going to the company, is going to Uncle Sam. So why would a company refuse to hire more why would a company hire more people, instead of just giving the current employee overtime?
It's a benefit for people, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
costs employers to pay more when they have do overtime. It's not something they've readily wanted to do in the first place. They used to do it based on the fact that um they needed that capacity, right? And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes they didn't have that body, so they'll give you those overtime. It costs the employers too when you work overtime. You realize that, right? It costs
How?
them.
How?
What?
How?
They're
How does it
paying
cost?
you more. They're paying you more to do the same job. The only reason they're paying you more is because you're working more hours.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
yes,
okay.
it's cheaper for them to have two people in that job than to have one person.
But they're
Because
not going
over
to pay you two people income though. Let's assume that if I make $15 and I'm working overtime, maybe my overtime income might be $20 instead of 15. It's going to be 20. So, but if you bring somebody and pay them the same $15, it's not going to be. I mean, that's not going to be that.
yeah, I'm sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, yeah. So, folks, tonight we are discussing the one big beautiful bill, right? The tax cut, the tip-free taxes, and what it means for your wallet and your business. If you're a small business person, I think there are a lot of benefits in the one big beautiful bill. Honestly, right? There are a lot of benefits in it. I'm not saying it's all gravy, but especially for our community, most of us drive, most of us do Uber, most of us do this ride sharing, Lyft, or do Amazon, or do a couple of things. There are a lot of benefits in it. I mean, it's not a lot, but it is something. It is something. So I think there are a lot of provisions. I mean, in the bill that actually benefit folks like us. Folks in our community. Now that we'll come to the to we are discussing the pros right now. We'll get to the cons, right, in terms of the Medicaid, the SNAP benefit that that went after. We'll come up to that, but there are a lot of good things in this bill for us. The other thing, though, right, Ms. B, I think you were talking about earlier, when it comes to small businesses, your LLC, your side houses and stuff like that, you can deduct 20% of your income. Okay, 20%. You don't have to pay 20% of your income right away. You can what? Deduct that. You don't have to pay any taxes on 20% of your income. Let's assume like you make $50,000 of income. Our people we that get a side hustle on this small business, we are afraid to report, profit or whatever. But whatever profit you make, right, you can deduct 20% of it right away. Then and then the remaining 80%, that's what you have to pay what taxes on. But
So
that's
let's
you.
do that math for folks. We
Mhm.
got to break it down for people here today. So $150,000. If you deduct 20% of that, that's $30,000, right?
You don't
So
have to
that
pay
means you
taxes
only have to pay taxes on $120,000,
on $120,000. First of all, I think going too
and
hard. A lot
then
of
you can take $10,000 for so you take $10,000 away again for the purchase of the vehicle.
exactly. Yep. If you
So
buy
now you're at
well,
110.
well, for a business, that's just the individual though. For a business, right? For a business, let's assume you buy that car for the business use.
Yes,
You can claim 100% of that expense.
there you go. See why I tell
100% of that.
everybody to go register an LLC?
Well, LLC or corporation or whatever, right? You know what I mean? So you can claim 100%. Whatever equipment you buy, whatever. If that's when you buy a car to drive your Uber or your Lyft, you can claim 100% of it right away on your 2025 on your 2026 taxes, right? So there are a lot of I think there are a lot of benefits for we the layman, honestly, to this thing. I'm not saying there are not benefits to the big dudes like the Jeff Bezos or the Elon Musk, you know. But the thing you should know about these folks, number one, to your point earlier, which I agree with, they don't have income.
They don't have income.
They have debt. They finance their lifestyle through debt.
Debt.
And they think about it, you don't pay taxes on debt.
Mm-mm.
So when they say, "Oh, rich people don't pay tax," that's why they say rich because they are not really like okay, Elon Musk through either SpaceX or Tesla, he's not getting any income. He's getting zero income.
Yep.
But his lifestyle, you wonder how does Elon Musk finance his lifestyle? Through debt financing.
Yep.
So that and you don't pay, you don't pay
If
income
he
on
goes and get $100 million loan, is he gonna pay taxes on it?
nope. You don't pay. I mean, you
And
don't pay
what's
taxes on debt.
qualifying him for the $100 million loan?
His assets.
It's
Yeah,
stocks.
his that's why I mean he has assets, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So and you can do the same thing. It's not rocket science, Miss B. You can do the same thing, right? If you have assets, if you have liquid asset, they can go to a bank and say, hey, this is this is what I have here. Maybe I have $1 million and maybe I
But
want
I
to
don't
I
own
want
1,000 shares in Amazon.
to oh, you want to own 1,000 share Amazon first, you
Jeff
know.
Bezos owns how many shares? I didn't even know the shares can be that many. Said.
I'm just saying, Miss B, right? Anybody can actually take advantage of those things, right? It's not only for the rich, right? Anybody can take advantage of that because you don't pay taxes on debt. And the reason why they said the rich don't pay taxes because they are not getting income from these corporations or the companies that they have.
Mm-mm.
They are financing their lifestyle through debt, their credit cards or
The
their loans
homes.
or what, yep, and
Yeah.
things like that. So okay. So those are all the great benefits of this one big beautiful bill. But let's come to the downside to it though. for our folks, out there who maybe are on SNAP, supplemental. I don't know how to call that thing. You're in a nonprofit. SNAP. What is SNAP? Miss B for our people. I mean, that is basically food
Supplemental
stamps
Nutrition Assistant Program, I think.
program, right? Which is the food stamp, right? Those are on food stamp, isn't it? Isn't that what it is? The
It's food stamps because it's
mhm.
not stamps anymore like what they had back in the day. They used to have special dollars. How
Okay.
embarrassing that was. They would have special dollar bills. I think they were like brown and white that you would use that have value like a regular $1 bill that you would go and pay with. And then
Mhm.
now it's electronic. They have a card, right?
Okay.
Um, which they should just make it a Visa card and just say like EBT on it. Just not to make people look so like obvious and alienated. But they go make it like they make it known that it's not a regular card. So I'm gonna work on that, changing the EBT card so people are not so alienated. But yeah, back to that, Abraham.
Yeah. So for that, right, they cut, I think over 10 years, right? They cut from the SNAP benefit, they cut over, I think, $186 billion over 10 years.
They're
So and
cutting
then they
it.
have, yes, from the SNAP program,
How much
186.
is the program?
So
How much
they are cutting about $186 billion from the program over
over
10
the
years.
next 10 years? So they're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
slowly cut. They're
Yeah.
gonna limit the amount of people on the program.
They are, and they are increasing the work requirement. It's going to be it's going to go from 19. It's going to the requirement is about 80 hours a month. You have to work 80 hours a month.
Just
Okay.
think if there's like just think if let's just say maybe we have a population of 377, right? And maybe 30% of our population is kids. So adult age 18 and up. Let's just say if you have 200 million people who are in the adult age. Let me make this make sense for you guys.
Hmm, hmm.
And 40% of that 200 million people is white.
Okay.
And of that 40% that is white, just think 80% of them is on SNAP benefits. Who is this going to impact the most over time?
Well, then I think we should be. Then I think our community we should be happy then because it's not going to impact us. Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we be
So,
happy? Was it?
and
It's
I'm
not going to
worried.
impact
I'm
us.
concerned because
How are you concerned, and why are you
that's
concerned?
a large amount of people. Because when people think about SNAP, they think, oh, the Black community is about to be largely impacted.
Hmm,
But Black people make up a very small percent of this population in this country. Very small percent. One.
hmm.
So that means a huge amount of the population in this country is not working.
Exactly. And that's what to me, right? I mean,
That
this is
have
my friend.
gotten used
This
to
my
not working, and now you're
Yeah,
making them to go back into the work field.
yeah. But Miss
Oh,
B, that's what we complain
mental
about,
health is
right? You
about
have
to get
folks. You
mental
have
health is
folks.
about to get 20 times worse.
You have folks who just sitting there collecting this thing. They say at least put in 80 hours, man. Put in 80 hours. Put in 80 hours. A month, Miss B. A month. Put in 80 hours a month.
That's all they have to work.
Yeah, 80 hours a month.
And mind you, folks, average person, if you're just working your regular 40 hours a week, is 160 hours a month.
It
So they're
is.
saying
And I
do
just
half of that
yeah,
in
half
order
of
to
that.
keep your benefits.
I mean, it is in order to keep your benefit. And the other thing, every 6 months, you have to prove that you actually working those 80 hours. And if you are not working, that you like that you are looking for job. I don't think I know. Sometimes I mean, when it comes to the politics of it, though, but you have folks on the other. I mean, on the other side saying, "Oh no, yeah, taking away from the poor." But you and I know, like the statistics they just quoted, a lot of people, like able-bodied people, just don't want to work. There are some people that actually need it. Don't get me wrong. There are people
No,
that
but
need this thing.
there's a huge thing called the working poor, Abraham. Let's be honest.
Mhm,
We're still working with 1972 wages. Wages, the cost of living goes up every year. Wages do not go up every year. So it's nice to say that's why it's called supplemental. The reality is, even though there's a huge amount of people on it, there's still a lot of people on it that are working. study shows that Walmart employees, due to the low wages Walmart pays their employees, a bulk of them still are working full time at Walmart and still on state benefits, still
Then
on
I
the
think,
medical.
that's an issue that should be taken over Walmart.
That's where your side does not want to come in and say, let's make these corporations pay their employees. That's where your Republican Party, we have a huge problem with the Republican Party. You won't demand higher wages from employers. You won't demand employers pay their fair share of taxes. And then the middle class is covering it for everybody. They're
Mm.
being taxed, and they're still the ones who are being responsible to keep this economy going. So those are some of the problems I have with the Republican Party. Somebody has to foot this bill.
Somebody will. The other thing to the SNAP program, right? I think the administrative costs. I don't know much about this program, but the administrative cost used to be 50% covered by the state. Now they still have to cover 75% of the administrative cost. So imagine that, right? You know what I mean? This, the federal government is basically saying, if you want to become a welfare state, Minnesota, right? Minnesota, we are so generous here. Want to put people on welfare. If you want to do that, fine, but you will bear 75% of the administrative cost just to have your residents or your citizens, taking advantage of the SNAP benefit or the welfare benefit and things like that. So the mode of the burden is being put on states
That's
and things like
fine.
that.
And guess what? Don't move to
Mhm.
Minnesota, people. Don't they about to flock to our state. That's what's gonna happen. Because we do the hard work here. We make
Okay.
corporations pay, and they're still here. We have a lot of the Fortune 500. We have a lot of Fortune 20, Fortune 10 entities here in the state of Minnesota who are being held to pay their taxes. You know why they love this state? Because we are educated. We have a
Okay.
huge educated working class population. Our people work in the state of Minnesota. So all of that, we don't care if the little bit of people that we have on this system and we have to foot the bill, we're gonna put it on the 1%ers, and we're gonna put that bill on the people that have the money to pay for it. That's what the Republicans don't like to do.
I don't think you should put it. I don't think you should put it on the 1%. Who the 1% anywhere must be? Those people they're not even earning income. We just said you and I just said they are financing their lifestyle through debt. They don't have
That's
they
why
don't
I
have
said we
income
should
to.
put it on them. We put it on them by putting it on their corporations, their companies that they own. That's where they be getting
Okay.
upset.
Okay. Well, folks, today we are discussing the one big beautiful bill that was signed into law on July 4th. Right. This bill has a lot of benefits on it, honestly,
It
right?
does.
But you know what I mean, it has a lot of benefits for us. If you read it, right, don't just listen to the politics of it, right? And these days you can go,
The
you can go
tax
to your.
benefits. We're talking tax tonight, folks, not the entire bill, just the
No, no,
tax.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just we are talking the tax benefit and how some of the provision in the bill, right, going to affect folks in our community or folks that that are not on the other side of, you
And
know.
when does this go into effect officially?
Well, part of it has already gone into effect, like the taxes on tip, like the standard deduction, those, like right now, if you buy a car, right, the part of it, like if you buy a car, 10,000 of that interest, right? You can actually, you can,
Individual.
yes, I mean, for individual. If you buy an equipment for your company, if you have a business, LLC or whatever, right? You can claim 100% of that expense. Okay, that's in effect right now as we speak. Since the bill was signed into law, some
So
provision
if
of it
I
will
have
take
a
effect.
truck company and I buy some trucks,
Yep.
and so when you say buy, if it still has a uh payments on it,
So
the
that's
only
where
part
that's where
that's
the
gonna be 100% is the part that's been paid for already, right?
no, even the one that you have a loan on, right? Is like it become a business expense. It become a business expense, right? That's a business expense. And imagine, right? And the thing is, you don't pay taxes on debt. I mean, it just that right there become a business expense, and you can 100% claim that. I mean that expense.
And so, folks, if you own property, if you're a landlord, and you have property and you're a property owner, the purchase too is becomes a business expense, and there's some tax breaks there too, right?
There is. I mean, there is. There's a tax break, like when it comes to the standard deduction, right? There's some if you buy, if you are in the market for a property as a single, just let's just go to an individual. If you
Hmm.
are in the market to buy real estate, right, or a single family home, and that house is under $750,000, you can actually, you can get a standard deduction on that.
Yes.
Okay, if it's on your 150,000, it used to be up to $1 million, but to benefit more people like us, they do they cut it down to $750,000. So that's that. But okay, so now we finish with the SNAP, Medicaid, right? Got a lot of our people that own group home, right? That
Yes.
in the healthcare business. Right? A lot of our
Yes.
folks are in the healthcare business. One of the side effect or the negative effect of this bill is that it's called again the same way it is doing to SNAP. It is coming after Medicaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
coming after Medicaid, and this is really going on. I mean, folks, those of you that own assisted living or group home, I think you should really talk to your tax accountant to see, or even like, because the requirement on this thing here, right? If you have, the state is going to cut Medicaid benefits because
Oh
now,
yeah.
right,
Oh
the
yeah.
federal government,
You were making
is
like
pushing.
$600 per person. You're gonna be making half of that right now.
Yeah, the state is going to. I mean, it's going to be more requirement, and most of people that are running these group homes, right? Most of their clients are on Medicaid.
Yeah.
Most of their clients are on Medicaid. So what is going to happen, right? To your point, there will be a lower reimbursement rate. The requirement to get on Medicaid it has become tougher, right? I mean, the same work requirement they have for SNAP, the same work requirement now is also applies to Medicaid. So if you have
Hmm.
a client that is not working and on Medicaid, they're going to cut them off. Okay, there's a work
But
requirement,
what has increased is for
uh,
daycare. So
which is
daycares
good.
get reimbursement too. And so
Yeah.
there has more money been put into childcare. So childcare hasn't been impacted. So if you guys want to switch from group homeowners to childcare,
Well,
facilities, that'll be great.
the
And there's
licensing
a huge
require.
need.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's a huge need, but the licensing requirement for that is huge, though, right? I mean, it's like
It's not. It's
it's
not.
not
I just yeah.
really.
It's not. So what gets licensed ultimately is the facility, right?
Okay.
And the facility it gets licensed based on the materials. And so what happens is, and there's difference between licensing a commercial facility and licensing at home, a home or house daycare. And what happens, the difference between the house and the commercial facility is that oftentimes the commercial facility can hold more people, and it hold more kids, and it can hold the various age groups, because again, the younger the kids are, the more of a reimbursement you can get. And you can't have that good age mix when you're in the house, right? And so for me, a daycare getting licensed is way easier than a adult assisted living or group home getting licensed.
Are you sure about that, Miss B?
I am sure. I
Because
just worked with somebody
mm-hmm.
going through the process of getting licensed.
Okay.
And the major hiccups was the contractor didn't know the difference between commercial grade products and residential products.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yes.
okay, okay.
And so once they know the right products to put in that space, you can get licensed easily.
Okay, okay. Well, that's a good one, right? I mean, either you can diversify your business, right? If you own a good home, you can say, okay, let me get into the childcare business, because that one, as I said, there's a huge need. It's not going to go away.
No.
It's always going to be in demand. But this whole Medicaid thing is really really going to impact a lot of our people in the community, because number one, as I said, the federal government is shifting Medicaid responsibility to the states. And what's going to happen is, and there's a work requirement. Maybe on Medicaid, you have to prove that you can work. I did work some hours in order to stay on the. So some of your clients, if you own a group home, some of your clients are now, if they're not working before, they are now required to work. And if they don't meet that requirement, they're going to drop them off. What
Yeah.
that does, right? You now, they don't have Medicaid, so they cannot pay for your services. So they're going to what, lose coverage. And in a
And
kid,
I think what has happened was a lot of folks were able to get into this group home business due to the homes. And
Mm,
we're going to probably be pushing for, if you want to maximize on your profit, you're going to
mhm.
have facilities and probably start to move away from the 4 bedroom minimum requirement, right? So open a group home, you need to have at least 4 bedrooms in the home.
Okay.
And so, but if you have a facility that can host more individuals, at some point you'll see that you can maximize on your profit versus you having a single family home that's 4 bedroom only having 4 people.
I
So
know.
you
Yeah.
won't feel, yeah, you won't feel the shortage as much, the cut as much if you have a facility that can hold more people.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one. So again, right? For I mean, a lot of group homes in our community. A lot of folks, that's a business. Our people love that business. But if you are in that business, just make sure you're on top of this because like next year when Minnesota, when the legislature come by into session, they're gonna come out, they're gonna come after this thing. So just make sure, as Ms. B said, you either diversify, maybe go into child care. We should always be in demand, especially in
Yeah,
our community, right? We need to maybe get away from taking these kids to the Oma,
that part.
and putting them into facilities where they can actually go and learn. So maybe most of us need to get into the business because man, there's a childcare facility by me here. To your point, though, these folks charge a lot, right? It's like 350, 400 a week.
Yeah,
So a week
yeah.
we're talking. That's what
And
that's
then look at this other aspect, Abraham, like you said, the people who are on SNAP now have to go back to work. So it's going to increase the need for childcare even more.
that's it.
So if
Okay,
you're
so
sitting at home taking care of 5 children, now all 5 of those kids, if they're not school age, they're going to where? The daycare. So it's going to even increase. And maybe that's some of the incentive, like moms who have low income, low wage jobs, you do get support from the state to help cover your daycare costs.
oh really? See? I
Oh
mean
yeah,
that's
that's always been.
really.
You get a daycare voucher.
And those are, I think, our people. These are information, right? That's why I love it. That's why I love this platform. That's why I love even our Wednesday business segment because that is something that a lot of our people don't know
Yeah.
because you won't get that benefit though if you are taking your child to one Oma to go babysit your child. Do you?
No.
Except
No.
the Oma
Except the OMA is registered.
as a provider, right?
Yes.
So
Which
I
we
mean,
should encourage, right? I don't understand why we hide so much from legalizing things, right? I
mhm.
know a Oman who does a great job, runs her daycare very well from her home. Take the kids to the bus stop, pick them up from the bus stop. They're running a good daycare service, but they don't want to legalize things, right? And I'm like, you could charge more right now. And some people have the nerve to be getting mad at Oman when she wants $25 per day per child.
That's nothing.
Exactly.
That's like that's
Exactly.
like that's like I mean 5 days, right? That's like what $100.
Exactly. So she has, first of all, she has way more kids than she's supposed to because she's charging so cheap. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, let me help you. Let's provide you the technical assistance. You could be making way more. You have a big house. You could be making way more. And your culture, the culture respective pieces, right? Because they have an adult child that is educated, can be there. I mean, and this could be a family business. And I know one of our very successful Liberian owned is building a building.
Yeah, we we
Building
are
their own
working on
facility.
we are working on trying to bring her on the show, right? Yeah, she used to
Yeah,
be in Crystal and she's
Chris.
moving by Waterside Market.
Yes.
So it tells you, right? The
Own
business.
her building. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. She's moving from she's renting in Crystal now. She's building her own building. So
Own
this stuff
facility.
this stuff must be lucrative actually. Childcare is lucrative
It
actually, right?
is.
Because if you are working and if the child is under 18, 15, 12 or whatever, right? They need somewhere to go. If you cannot leave them home by themselves, right? I know most of us sometimes try to
I
do
mean,
what we
some
have
of
to
my
do, but
nurses, instead of opening all the nurses, y'all want to open group homes, go open some childcare facilities because you technically don't have to be working in the childcare facility. You hire your staff and they'll work there for you, right? But it'd be
mhm.
great to have that nurse care, experience available because God knows daycares are germ fest. The kids are always sick. Forgive me. But yeah, I mean, those are different ways in which you can be able to give back to your community too. Because a lot of you guys are in the nursing field looking for a way to transition to own your own business. Go and open your own child care facilities. You guys have these awesome 401ks working at North Memorial and Fairview. I know y'all do. Use that 401k, either buy your building in partnership with each other, or build your building. It's doable, and there's a huge need in our community, especially for 24/7 childcare, because we know people work all types of shifts, work the overnight shift and everything, right? And kids can get picked up from the daycare to go to school. So there's a lot of different ways in which you're really making money and giving back to the community.
That's a good one, right? For those that want to diversify, if we are in a group home business, in a healthcare business, you want to diversify to healthcare because they are coming after that. They are coming out. It's been a lucrative. Healthcare is always will always be lucrative,
And it still
but
will be, yeah.
it will be right. But the piece of it wherein our people are heavily involved and they are coming after it, folks. I
Yes,
just
exactly.
that's
A lot of our
yeah,
clientele is media, it's Medica. We don't
yeah,
have the WCCO broadcast journalists coming to our facilities. No, yeah.
yeah. It's all Medicaid. Recipients that are in those homes. So if you want to diversify your income, or if you can, maybe Miss B said earlier, you can move to a bigger facility. I think you should do that because the more people you have in your facility, you can use economic of scale, right? Now, more people will bring you more income, and stuff like that. So, but we maybe take the last one here and then we'll move to. So, if a person can show that they are unable to work, whether it be a physical disability or mental disability, they can waive those requirements. You just have to provide verification. So not everyone. Okay. I mean, good information there. Good, yeah, good information. But
Of
again, right?
course, yes. Medical diagnosis and those things will ultimately determine if that person has to leave the home and go to work.
No,
But Rebecca, the state dropping the budget for that has nothing to do with people being forced to go to work. So
mhm.
just know, if the state can't afford to cover them, regardless if they can work or not, they need to figure out some other ways to supplement them being in that group home to pay for that, for being in that facility.
Yeah, and even if and that is all the paperwork requirement. When you think about it, because the person has disability and there's a huge paperwork requirement, and there's no one to help them. Something when the thing about the system here, sometimes it can frustrate you so much. You just say, you know what, to hell with it, right? You say, hey, to hell. So that's the thing there. But it's been a great discussion, Miss B. I enjoyed this. I'm glad I able to
Time
point
went
out
so
some,
fast.
yeah, some benefits to you tonight. The one big beautiful bill, as I said, right now you understand why I voted with my pocket. You know,
Yes,
like
it made sense.
now you understand. You know,
Yes.
now you understand why I voted with my pocket. So I'm glad that we're able to. And guys, for full disclosure, right, we are not tax experts. There's the
No.
Inner Circle platform where we come, we bring these conversations because everybody been hearing the one big beautiful bill. What's in there? What's in there? There's a lot in there. We just did our try our best to net to try to put some information out there for us, for our people, for our community, because sometimes this information just pass us by. We don't know what's going on. So that's what we did tonight. But it was a great discussion, Miss B, and I'm glad I was able to point out some benefits to you and your business.
And so I appreciate it. I'm going to be taking all the gems and nuggets that Abraham and the beautiful Bill is providing me here tonight. I just want to say, folks, let's talk about money.
Hmm.
We need to get more comfortable talking about money, period. You have it, you don't have it, how you want to get it, how can I get it? When I do get it, how can I protect it? Let's
Yep.
talk about money.
Hmm.
Seriously. And Wednesdays, that's what we just really want to do, is let's talk about our money.
That's it. And the way to Miss B's point, the way to protect your money, folks, avoid paying taxes on your money. Any way you can, try to do it. I'm not saying do it illegally because IRS will come after you. There are legal ways you can do that thing. There are a lot of
Yes,
legal ways. There are a lot of legal ways, and that's why and even like the one big beautiful bill, even have found more legal ways to do it to
yes,
protect your money and your assets. So go after it, folks, because the people are doing it where you are wondering, oh, they are rich, they are rich. How are they rich? They are taking advantage of these tax loopholes or these tax benefits. So let's do that. To Ms. B's point, let's discuss money. We shouldn't avoid this topic, money and business and finance. Let's discuss it, folks. So we are
yeah.
here every Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Any last word, Miss B, before we wrap up tonight?
Let's talk money.
Yeah, that's it. money, money, money.
Money,
You know,
money, money.
whether you making it or you say what, get rich or die trying, right?
Get
I say
rich or
right there,
die trying.
get rich or die trying. That's what my man said. Get rich or die
Yes.
trying. And that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to get rich, or we'll spend the rest of our life, trying. So that's it, folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be another good one. It's a article I saw in the Wall Street Journal, Miss B. The topic for this week, very, 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 is how related to this a little bit, but it's different. How a lot of folks are stuck, and this one will be good for you, right? Say America stuck. How folks are stuck in their home. Folks that bought their home during the pandemic with low interest rate, and like they can't because interest rates are so high, or maybe like folks like they're afraid to leave their job. Like so, everyone is stuck, and
Yeah.
that's how they feel like. So tomorrow, that's what's going to be talking. America stuck.
And I believe it. I mean, like sometimes when
Oh, you believe
even
it? So
wealthy people are stuck because
okay, save,
you can
save,
have
save,
money and don't
save.
have a way to spend it, right? It's good thing to have money, but and then you're trying to say what else can you do now? What is the next? What is people are you're living in? So every day you're trying to achieve something. You have to have something to work towards. So even
Save
if
your
you have a
gems.
lot of money,
Save your gems for tomorrow, Miss
oh
B.
yes,
Save your gems.
for
Save your
tomorrow.
gems for tomorrow. So, folks, good
Tomorrow.
night.
All right. Good night,
Yeah,
everyone.
good night, folks. Have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in.
In
Thank
a
you.
circle podcast where hearts unite. Share